I would like to call budget and appropriations order at 6:30. I have 4 motions to bring forth tonight. First, from the docket of November 2nd, 2021, we've been informed that the Board of Assessors has received approval by the Department of Revenue of a final new growth number of $1,349,057, which is $449,057 greater than the estimate carried in the fiscal 22 budget. Therefore, I entertain a motion to approve a supplemental appropriation to the following accounts: $213,030 to 0930020-532010 school special education tuition, $160,050 to account 142-010-589064 Public Works sidewalk construction, and the total amount is $373,080.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Cobus. So this piece of the budget is important to have done and voted into the record before we even vote out anything having to do with tax classification, which will be coming up shortly. You'll notice the supplemental appropriation is lower than the surplus of the new growth figure. This happened for 2 different reasons. First, the fiscal 22 budget was presented using a House and Ways Means budget figure for state aid. Essentially, when we did the budget wasn't finalized at the state. We didn't know what we were getting from the Ways and Means. Essentially, the final state cherry sheet from July 19th, 2021 reduces state aid to the city by $22,997. Second, on that same cherry sheet, there was an increase in state assessments of $52,980. This was detailed in a separate memorandum on October 5th with Jeremy's request to rescind the earlier vote, which we did. We went through and we did all the, we rescinded those votes. We voted in the new numbers. So in order to keep the budget balanced, Jeremy and the mayor are requesting the supplemental appropriation from excess new growth to be reduced by the amount of state aid and state assessment increases. So this allows us to have a balanced budget going forward through the rest of the fiscal year. So it's going to, again, just want to reiterate that the supplemental appropriation from excess new growth be reduced by the amount of state that the state aid was reduced, and at the same time it addresses the state assessment increases. So talking with Jeremy and Deb over the last couple of weeks, they're proposing that half the new growth after controlling for the reduction in state aid be appropriated to the school department. Jeremy sent an earlier memorandum around about free cash appropriation, which closed the school's budget gap related to a revocation of ESSA 2 eligibility for net school spending. We still had a deficit. So the state's reliance on October 2020 numbers, which we talked pretty much in depth about throughout this budget process, doesn't reflect the reality of what's going on in the schools from an enrollment period. So essentially what that meant is Chapter 8 number was artificially depressed. So this appropriation is going to assist with the state assisted gap. They're also proposing that the balance of the new growth be appropriated into public works for sidewalk repair and construction. So as we know, we never get what we want, what we need from Chapter 90. We have sidewalks that need to be done, so this is going to assist on that. Any other questions or concerns?
Makes sense.
All right, tried to be as thorough as I could. It's
Thank you.
You know, there's a lot of moving parts this time of year when we get into the tax recapitulation process. And again, when we're putting down, that's why it's a proposed budget. We know that different funds are going to come in and once certified, whether it's free cash, whether it's new growth. So this is pretty boilerplate stuff. All right, seeing no other questions or concerns, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Okay, from the docket of September 7th, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the following loan order request. Ordered that the city appropriates the amount of $6,200,000 for the purpose of paying costs of making energy efficiency improvements to the city school buildings as described in the Energy Management Services Agreement, EMSA, to be entered into between the city and Train Inc., and for the payment for any other costs incidental or related thereto, that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the mayor, is authorized to borrow $6,200,000 and to issue any bonds or notes therefore under general law, chapter 44, or any other enabling authority. Any premium received by the city upon sale of any of these bonds or notes may be applied to pay project costs, and the amount authorized to be borrowed hereunder shall be reduced by the amount of any such premium so applied. And further, that the mayor is authorized to execute and deliver any and all documents and agreements that in his view are reasonably necessary to accomplish purposes of this order, including the EMSA or any other energy services and or energy savings guarantee agreements with respect rather to the project, and to take any necessary action to carry out the project.
Second.
Thank you, Chad. So we had the public hearing on this a couple weeks ago. It was actually last month. I thought it was a pretty interesting project. I think it's something that's necessary, repairing HVAC, repairing different air quality measures in the schools. There's also a cost savings, as Mr. Furtado talked about, that the schools will see. And at the end of this project, it's going to be a net zero, essentially. We had to hold off on bringing this out after the public hearing because there was some concern and even questions to see, would we be able to use OPER, the American Rescue Plans Act money, for this or some portion of this? Deb and Jeremy looked into this and ultimately brought in Mr. Furtado, and the decision was made that they weren't able to. So we're going to move forward with this loan authorization.
Fair enough. And that was my one. Yeah.
Council Corbis.
Thank you. Sorry. That was my one question, is whether or not we had gotten to the bottom of that and if we could use ARPA funds or not. So yeah, sounds good.
All right. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns on this matter? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of October 5th, 2021, I entertain a motion to adopt a dual system of classification of real estate taxation in accordance with the appropriate general laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Second.
This is about as self-explanatory as they come. This is just for us to have the next conversation, which will be what the tax classification number will be coming out of committee as we take it to the full council. Any other questions, thoughts, or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Finally, I entertain a motion to adopt a tax classification number of 1.34% for
Second.
fiscal 22.
Second.
Thank you, Chad. I know there'll be discussion on this later on. I'm not going to entertain a lot of discussion on this at this point in committee, as we have the full committee coming up in just 20 minutes. I do want to just say that I understand where we're at. I understand the concern that a lot of the councils, if not all of us, have about making the right decision for this, for the city going forward. I was moved by Mr. Lawson's comments when he came to the public hearing at the end of October, talking about there's so much that we don't know right now. There's so much that business owners are going through, the residents are going through. And I fully expect for a really good, passionate discussion later on tonight, because working with this council as closely as we have on other fiscal issues, I think that the conversation will be healthy. It'll be a good one, regardless where we land up. But right now, I think with all the unknowns, everything that we're still waiting for the dust to settle from COVID, it makes sense to, in my estimation, to start the conversation at 1.34. Council Corbis.
And I'll save opinions for later, but I do want to applaud you, Councilor Delicio, as the budget chair, for bringing it out where it was, and want to make sure we communicate that this is the current rate and we're bringing it out at that rate. There'll be further discussion later. So thank you.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. You know, I believe I referenced that in my comments. I think it's important to at least have a realistic starting point. you know, there's a lot of factors that go into this, especially this year. We're on the heels of a reevaluation, which means the tax rates go down when the evaluations go up. So, Acting President Jackson, did you have a comment?
You know, I just wanted to say thank you also for listening to Mr. Larson, because I know every single year he comes before the city council, no matter whether I was there or I wasn't there. I know he comes every year to speak on behalf of the businesses and also being a resident. So yes, thank you for looking out for both.
And that's the balancing act that we have in front of us this year, especially. I think it's more, you know, and I'll talk about this a little bit when we get to the full council, but, you know, I think if the only thing we're doing is setting a tax classification rate in a split, we're being reactive. I think we have an opportunity as a council, as a city, to start to look at this and find out, how do we plan better? What are some of the things? What's our identity as a council? What do we want as a council going forward? So I think we're at a unique opportunity, and I think we're all piecing different things together, not just with this, but in different committees about plans. And where do we want to see plans? And are we just doing things by piecemeal? Or can we come together cohesively and come up with a plan? And that plan could look at different tax abatement options. It could look at different deferral options that are out there for, you know, whether it's, you know, I know there are deferrals for veterans, for the seniors, for the disabled, for the blind. Like, how do we come up with a plan to really kind of address all of this? And I've spent a lot of time talking with Deb and a lot of time talking with City Assessor Hobson as well. So, Councilor Blair.
Thanks, Jay, for bringing it out this way. This will probably be the first time in 22 years I haven't spoke about narrowing the gap some more. I've been an advocate of that since I come on the council 22 years ago. I thought it was unfair tax on businesses to punish them for bringing jobs and whatnot into the city. But I think at this time, it's a smart thing to do to hold the line where it is. Gives us a year to get settled, see where the dust settles. And I think it's fair to both the businesses and the residents at this point to keep it the same split.
Yeah, Councilor Blair, thanks for that. And, you know, I've really been thinking about it more and more as we go on. I'd like to see us come up with really kind of a plan. And last year, I introduced business. I believe Councilor DeSimone co-sponsored with me to take a look at the cash policy of the city. And I think we've got to be all encompassing with all of this, because right now, what are we doing? We're here's what we have. Here's where some of us want to see it go. Here's where some of the rest of us want to see it go. And I'd like to be on the same page and kind of have a plan and a direction where we want to see this go. You know, is it go back to 1? Is it go back to 1.5? Is it meet somewhere in the middle? I just think this is worthy of a bigger discussion after tonight. Councilor DeSimone.
Jay, I know you wanted to make this quick, but I'm
sorry. I don't want to make it quick. I just didn't want to get into the, well, I want to go to, you know, just.
Fair enough. Okay. My comments are not about that. I've been relying heavily on the tax policy that was prepared in 2012, 2013, that Mayor Dumas put together a committee to do that. And I have to say, I like it. However, it's 10 years old. And I emailed the mayor asking him to consider reconvening a new group of residents and business owners to reevaluate. But the thing I like about it is, to me, the fundamental issue is, as you said, fairness, right? What's fair? And there's arguments on both sides that I keep trying to balance. But what this policy does, it says that perhaps focusing on fairness, you're going to be arguing back and forth. But if we focus on predictability, that's something we can agree on. So I like it. I'm hoping that the mayor will consider putting a group together and that we can have some involvement in that, because I think it's a really good tool. So.
No, kudos, 100%. You know, and when I referenced the tax plan going forward, predictability was the word I was searching for, and I couldn't. It was just one of the long day, brain not functioning right. But predictability is really where we need to go for this council, for future councils, and the taxpayer. You know, the taxpayer, whether it's the residential or commercial, every year in November, They're like, how's this going to impact me? Where's it going to impact me? And, you know, something that Julie had sent to me today, which I thought was pretty neat. I'm going to try to find it. And this was part of the email Julie sent to me. The 2004 tax classification report issued by the Division of Local Services says in part, however, we found there's little justification for classification other than the politically expedient outcome of keeping the residential tax burden low. Clearly authorizing evish increasing shifts to CIP classes is not good public policy, and at some point raises constitutional issues. It went on to point out other options available to assist taxpayers in need, such as elderly exemption, senior tax deferral, blind and veterans exceptions. And when we think about it, I think that predictability, but yet if we have the option to look at that tax plan, kind of make our own suggestions as a budget and appropriations committee and a council, then we can start to build in some semblance of predictability as well as other options. Because it just kind of hit me in the face today. I'm like, man, if we're waiting until the day of tax classification, we're really reacting. But we have an opportunity to plan so people can better predict where they want to go. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns on this at this point? All right, well, seeing none, I would entertain, we're going to vote on it.
Did
now.
we vote on it?
We're going to vote on it now, Todd.
Perfect.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We were adjourned at 6:46 p.m. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you at the next meeting.
Hi, Gary. Hi, Nick.
Hey, Kate.
Hey, Steve. Nice to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you.
Hi, Ty. Hi, Kathleen.
Hello,
Steve.
Steve. Hi, Kate.
Hey, Steve.
Hi, Ty. Hi, Kathleen.
Kate,
Hello,
I haven't had a chance to congratulate you, but
Well, same to you both. Congratulations to you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
Kate, I believe
Todd, how you feeling?
Oh, hold on.
Mr. Todd, how you feeling?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah, hanging out in a hotel, quarantined.
Beautiful. You look great.
Thank you. I just keep drinking tea and honey all
There
day.
you go.
Kate. I start. I'd like to call this municipal council meeting to order this evening. I don't have a mallet, so I'm going to use this. Mr. Withers, would you please do a roll call vote to see who is in attendance, please?
Yes, please indicate if you're here or not. Mr. Blair,
Yeah,
Ms. DeSimone,
Here.
Mr. Conti, Mr. Waterman,
Here.
Mr. Vice President Jackson,
Here.
Mr. Delisio.
Here.
Mr. Cobus.
Here.
Mr. Nolan,
Here.
Ms. Reynolds,
Here.
Ms. Holmes,
Present.
President Cooper. So 9 councils are present. President Cooper and Councilor Conti are missing.
Thank you, Mr. Withers. And would you read the notice for the special meeting, please.
November 1st, 2021, 2 members of the municipal council from Mark J. Cooper, president. Councils by authority of Article 2 Section 2-7C of the Attleboro Home Rule Charter, I hereby call a special meeting of the municipal council as follows. Tuesday, November 9th, 2021 at 7 p.m. via remote link, USJ/636857461. Purpose to discuss any legal matters before the council. Sincerely, Mark J. Cooper, President. CC Mayor Paul Harut.
Thank you, Mr. Withers. I entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
Second,
Thank you, Councilor Delicio. And we will have a roll call vote, starting with Councilor Holmes, please.
Suspending the rules. Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
yes,
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes,
98 0 days.
Thank you, sir. We only have one meeting this evening for the budget and appropriation.
all right, thank you. Acting President Jackson, I have 4 motions to bring forward from the docket of November 2nd, 2021. I entertain a motion to approve a supplemental appropriation to the following accounts totaling $373,080. $213,030 to school special education tuition, $160,050 public works sidewalk construction.
Second.
Very good. There's a second. Any comments?
None, we just discussed this in committee a few minutes ago.
Any other comments?
No.
All those? We will have roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair? Mr. Blair?
yes,
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes,
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
98 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
thank you, Acting President Jackson. From the docket of September 7th, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the following loan order request. Order that the city appropriates the amount of $6,200,000 for the purpose of paying costs of making energy efficiency improvements to city school buildings as described in the Emergency Management Services Agreement, EMSA, to be entered in between the city and Train Incorporated.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Cobus. Any comments?
I have none. We just reviewed this a few moments ago in committee.
Hearing none. We'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Holmes, please.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes,
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
yes,
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
98 0 nays.
Motion passes.
thank you. From the docket of October 5th, 2021, I entertain a motion to adopt a dual system of classification of real estate taxation in accordance with the appropriate general laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Cobus. Any other comments?
All I will say is this is just to adopt the split rate for tax classification, which we'll be discussing momentarily.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote, beginning with Councilor Blair, please.
Mr. Blair,
yes,
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes,
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
98 0 nays.
Motion passes.
thank you. And finally, from the docket of October 5th, 2021, I entertain a motion to adopt a classification factor of 1.34% for fiscal 22.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Cobus. Any comments?
I have a few, thank you, Acting President Jackson. So as I mentioned earlier in committee, COVID continues to impact the city finances as well as the impact on the taxpayer. For close to a decade, this council has adopted a policy to shrink that split. I look forward to this conversation tonight about how we can best look out for the taxpayer and business owners. But over the last several years, we've seen fluctuations in how the council has set the tax classification rate. This year is especially tough given the impact of COVID, and this is the year where the taxpayer will feel the biggest impact of the debt exclusion for the high school. The more and more I think about this process and the more I speak to the city assessor, I can't help but think waiting for tax classification to be the tangible tax policy the city has may be a little bit reactive. I want to urge the council that after tonight, that we collectively look at how we provide tax relief to seniors. And I feel as though the tax split should be a component of an in-depth plan where we can take some of the lessons we've learned from the tax relief that we're looking to provide to the seniors and really come up with other sorts of exemptions. I'd like to, let me rephrase. We don't want to see an exodus of businesses because they're paying a premium on their taxes. And essentially that's what it is. The tax split is a premium on the taxes. The businesses currently, as we sit today, carry 34% more taxes than the residents. This year, it may not impact them as much because the tax rate decreased due to the higher valuations. We don't know what next year and the following years are going to look like. I'd like to see the council have a plan, and I really like the word that Councillor DeSimone used in terms of that predictability. And we can have a predictable plan for the next 5 years or so homeowners and business owners can plan as much as they can. We do have a plan, as Councillor DeSimone referenced. It's almost 10 years old, and that was without COVID ever being a thought in anyone's mind. So that being said, I'd like to ultimately see the rate get closer to where it was a few years back, closer to 1.30. But with all the unknowns we're facing, as I mentioned earlier, I think that's why it makes sense to stay at 1.34%. The more we push the commercial, the more it's going to impact the business owner. Because remember, not all the businesses and the business owners own the buildings they conduct business in. So the more we push to the commercial, we all understand basic economics. That increase could realistically be pushed down to the business owner, which could push down to the consumer, could ultimately leave the business wanting to leave the city. And when that happens, that piece of the burden will shift back to the residents, as Julie Hobson described when she was here to talk to the council, to present the tax classification presentation, but also reiterated at the public hearing. This needs to be part of the discussion of that tax classification plan. In talking with Assessor Hobson, she reminded me that because the majority of the growth we continue to see in the city is in the residential class, and we can predict for at least the next several years will remain in the residential class. And with the knowledge that personal property assessments automatically depreciate, the result will likely be an exponential increase in future years to the residential percent share of the levy. What this means is that the shift will need to continue to increase exponentially as well. Just a reminder that the majority of growth we saw this year on CIP side was personal property of utilities, and that immediately depreciates. That increased levy gets redistributed to the residential class as well. Also, since commercial industrial properties, CIP, are valued on the income approach, shifting the burden to commercial properties actually increases their expenses, thereby decreasing their net operating income, which ultimately lowers their value. And again, for every 1 cent off the residential tax rate, it's 5 cents added to the commercial. So for all those reasons and more, I'm suggesting we stay at the 1.34 this year while we try to figure out where we're going to come in and what the next 5 to 10 years looks like. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Councillor DeSimone.
Thank you, Vice President Jackson. I appreciate Councillor Delicio's comments. However, I disagree with the premise that we should be working towards reducing the split. I view the split, it's a tool, and I think the tool needs to apply as needed based upon the situation. So not only that, but I'm more inclined of just taking it this year at a time. And the predictability applies to the way that you determine the rate in the context of the existing year. But here's my conundrum. and this is the problem with property taxes. Oftentimes the property tax rate increases more than people's income level. It increases more than GDP. It basically outpaces the appraisal, the assessment values outpace a whole lot of other factors in our economy. It's something that people don't control, but yet they have to pay for. And I appreciate the context that we're in. But my conundrum is at 134. And I appreciate the things that businesses have been through, but local receipts, many indicators indicate that some businesses have done quite well through the pandemic. So not all of them are in the same boat. And I'm hesitant. I can't swallow what would equate to a reduction in this particular year. So that's where I'm stuck on the 134. I am certainly open to discussion, but it's tough times all around. So I'm open to this, Councilor Delicio, but I'm wrestling with it for all the aforementioned reasons at this point. But I appreciate your points.
Councilor Reynolds and Councilor Cobus.
Thank you. I actually understand where Councilor Delicio is coming from, but I'm right in line with Councilor DeSimone. I think that we know that the real estate market is overinflated and the assessments are up there. They're almost ridiculous, quite frankly. But that's what the homes are selling for. And these are, to some people, these assessments came in something that they never even planned on. They already can't pay their taxes, and now they're going up exponentially. And even if in 2022, which I don't think it will overcorrect itself, but even if the real estate market somewhat corrected itself, the rate is there. And I agree with Councilor DeSimone that the whole reason we do the rate is that we can look at it every year and make these adjustments. And so for that, when we finally bring this out, I will be asking for, to amend this from a 1.34. I'm going to ask for a 1.40 amendment and see if that's what I'm going to ask for, 1.40.
Second.
See it amended.
Councilor Cobus.
So do we have, is that a motion then that we have?
No, she said that she didn't call it an amendment. She said, once we see what's going to happen, I'm going to ask for that.
Yeah, well, I will when we bring it out on the floor. Thank you, Kate.
You're welcome.
Point of information.
I'm just letting other people make their comments as well.
Thank you, Councilor Reynolds. Councilor Cobus, please.
All right. Let me, if I could just share, I wanted to bring this in to share with everybody, but one of the things we try to talk about each year, for the last 4 years that I've been here, we've been talking about optimizing for predictability. And so everyone's hit the nail on the head. And the thing we hear from, or that I hear from residents time and again is, why did my tax bill increase by 7%? Why did my tax bill increase by 8%? People don't understand they're like, isn't Prop 2.5, because of Prop 2.5, shouldn't my tax bill only increase by 2.5%? And so regularly we have to explain that, it's Prop 2.5 and then there's new growth and all this. In the tax policy that Councilor DeSimone referenced, the whole point of that was to optimize for predictability, to say, if the levy increases by 4%, then the average residential tax bill should increase by 4%. So we keep that consistent and try to account for sort of huge fluctuations in housing costs and assessed values and all of that. So based on this year we saw one of the greatest increases in the levy altogether. The levy rose by 7%. So if we were to follow the policy this year, we would actually shift all the way down to 1.30. And if we did that, on average, the residents would see a 7% increase and commercial would see a 3% decrease. And that feels very unfair to me. So in looking at it a little bit more and thinking about it more, the policy was written before we had the debt exclusion, before we had, voted for the new high school and all of that. And this year, so the levy increased by 7%, but 3% of that was tied to the debt exclusion increase. So in thinking about it a little bit more, my thought was, okay, if we follow the policy for the 4% that we had normally done, and then split the 3% and target a 5.5% increase on the residential side, that would move us to a 1.36 shift. And that sounded more acceptable to me. And it would still reflect sort of a decrease in rates for both commercial and residential when you're looking at just the actual tax rate. But then one of the things I think is important that we avoid is huge shifts one way or the other. So in order to sort of minimize the shift, I thought a rate of 1.355 would make sense. And that would result in a 5.75% average increase on the residents and a 1% increase on the commercial side. It wouldn't be a huge shift. I do applaud Councilor DeSimone for emailing the mayor and asking the mayor to reconvene the committee to review this tax shift policy. I think it's important that we do so. And I think the best thing we can do to sort of optimize for predictability this year is to move to 1.355. It does reflect the large increase this year that we're absorbing as a result of the new high school. It's putting the bulk of that burden on the residents. I don't think it would be fair to ask commercial to absorb all of that. But it is important that they absorb some of it. So 1.355 would be a 5.75% increase on average for residents and a 1% for commercial. And that feels fair to me. So I move to amend the tax rate from 1.34 to 1.355. That concludes my comments. Or do I have a second?
Any other comments? Questions? Councilor Dolan, please.
Thank you. So I agree with a lot of what everybody said. And again, you know, like Councilor Kovas said, I applaud Councilor DeSimone for reaching out to the mayor on that. So, we've been talking about predictability, which it's hard to predict because you don't know what the new growth is going to be. And we saw a huge jump in the utilities. So I agree with everything that Councilor Kovas said. And as far as in Councilor Delicio, you everything you said was on point. I don't agree with everything, but everything needs to be taken in consideration. So you have valid arguments. Absolutely. Do we need to do more as far as tax deferment? And again, not just seniors. There are a lot of people struggling that aren't seniors. So I agree. We need to come up with better plans for seniors and others. We don't have a ton of programs right now that help a large quantity of people. And I don't want to see an exodus of businesses either, but I also don't want to see an exodus of residents. So with the high valuations and taking everything into consideration, I see where everybody's going. And can I amend now? Can I amend?
Yes, you can.
Or do we have to vote on his amendment?
Nope, you can go ahead and amend the amendment.
So I know it's minimal, but I'd like to amend it to 1.36.
Second.
Right. Any comments on the amendment to the amendment? Sarah? Excuse me.
I thought we were just making comments. I would have made my point to amend back when I was first speaking, just as Todd did. I want to move to amend higher. So I got zoomed out.
You were muted for a second, Sarah.
I'm saying that I would have made my amendment already myself. I
You
mean,
make it now.
Well, let's
we
vote.
already seconded yours.
So let's vote out this amendment, see where that goes, and we'll do, if there's another amendment that comes on the floor, we'll play that one out.
Well, what I was suggesting, Kate, I mean, I am up there high compared to where Laura and Tata is. So I should come out first. My amendment should have come out first. That's what I was doing but I waited for people to give their comment.
Yes, and that's what happened, because I did ask you. I did ask you if you so we're going to take, is there any other comments?
Well, she can make an amendment to the amendment. Point of order.
I do not, excuse me, Counselor Holmes, I do not believe you can do the third amendment on top of an amendment. I think there's only one other amendment that you can do on the other one. Am I correct on that, City Clerk, Mr. Withers? You're muted, Steve.
No, I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I don't believe you can. But if Counselor Dolan,
I can, if Diana, if Counselor Holmes will rescind her second, I'll forego my amendment, my motion. Can we do that?
yes, you can.
Thank you.
Counselor Holmes, would you
Yeah.
like to withdraw your second?
I will do that. And sorry for interrupting you, Acting President Jackson.
So are you withdrawing your second?
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds, your turn up.
Thank you.
It's always a circus when I have to be acting president. No wonder Mark said to me, "You okay with this?" And I said, "Sure."
So I move to amend to adopt a classification factor of a 1.40 for fiscal year 2022. And I say that with kudos to everyone that brought information forward, but I still am in line with Councillor DeSimone that it's about making it fit for the year that we're in. And that's what I think is happening right now. So that's what I'd like to see.
So you're going to 1.40. Do I have that correct?
Correct.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments? Seeing none, we'll have
Do you have a second? Do you have a second?
Excuse
on it?
me. Yeah, do you have a second? Thank you, Counselor Holmes. Thank you, Mr. Withers.
Mhm.
So we're going to take a vote on the amendment.
To 1.4.
To amend to classification factor of 1.34 to 1.40. And we'll have we'll have a vote starting with Counselor Holmes, please.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
No,
Mr. Delicio,
No,
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
No.
Mr. Blair,
No.
Vice President Jackson.
No.
I've got 4 yeas and 5 nays.
Motion fails. Have more discussion?
I'll amend. I'd like to make a motion to amend to a 1.38.
Second.
Thank you, Counselor Reynolds. Is there any discussion? With none, we will take a roll call vote, beginning with Counselor Blair, please.
Mr. Blair,
No.
Ms. DeSimone,
No.
Mr. Waterman. Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Mr. Delicio,
no,
Mr. Cobus,
no,
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
No.
It's gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be 4 yeas and 5 nays.
Motion fails. Any other comments? Counselor Holmes, please.
Thank you. Amend to 1.36.
Second.
Thank you. Any other comments? Nope, seeing none, we will have a vote on the amendment to 1.36 of the classification factor for 2022. We'll have a roll call vote starting with Counselor Holmes, please.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
No,
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
No,
Vice President Jackson.
Yes,
So we have 7 yeas and 2 nays.
motion passes as amended. Whew. Get them all. So that's on the amendment. So now to amend the classification factor of 1.34 for fiscal year 2022 to 1.36. That is the vote we are about to. Any comments? We will have a roll call vote beginning with Counselor Blair, please.
Mr. Blair,
no,
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
no,
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes,
We have 7 yeas and 2 nays.
thank you very much. Motion passes.
thank you, Acting President Jackson. That is all the business for budget appropriations, but I just want to thank everyone for the discussion. I've seen tax classification in other years get very heated, get very personal. I think this council demonstrated the ability to have differing opinions and still be able to get done what we all think is probably the right thing for the taxpayer and the businesses. So I just want to thank everyone for your help, support throughout the process. Need to thank City Assessor, City Auditor Virginia, who has done so much in making sure that we have the right order of the audit of the motions. We have the right motions. There's certainly a choreography that goes along with all of this, but 100% want to thank the council for their dialogue and their back and forth on this. I think this illustrates how government can work best and work efficiently. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Delissio. Counselor Cobus, please.
I'd just like to also applaud the budget chair. If I remember correctly, we're normally voting on this the week of the Thanksgiving week in the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So
Yeah,
this is done quite a bit earlier. And so I think it's great to have it done and give it the due diligence it needed. So thank you.
thank you, Counselor Cobus. Any other comments, questions?
Just to circle back, just as much as I'd love to take the credit for that, Todd, there's a method behind the madness. I know Jeremy, Deb, Julie, myself, we talked several times about getting it done expeditiously, just given everything, so we can get the tax cap in before the holidays start. So collective effort with everyone involved. And that being said, I would like to call for a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you, Counselor Delissio. Oops, Counselor Waterman.
Yes. I also want to Jay for leading us, and it was a very solid presentation by you, Jay, and also by you, Todd. And I appreciate that. But I also appreciate the cognizance of needing to still look at how we can help not just our seniors, but those people who are on the edge, as Counselor, I believe, Holmes pointed out. Let us remember that, and during this year, embark upon that need to help those folks who are struggling but are yet still homeowners, many of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Waterman. Before we adjourn, because we have no further business before the special meeting tonight, I just want to remind you that we're going right into our committee meetings. And I believe that we are beginning with traffic transportation. Am I correct? Oh, no, it's personnel.
No. Personnel.
Personnel, thank you. I know you both have people to speak this evening. But with that, I'd like to, oh, and I also wanted to just say congratulations to everyone. And I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 We gotta do a roll call, Kate.
Roll call, that's right. Roll call vote beginning with.
Good attempt, though, Kate. I like it.
Beginning
I do too.
with Counselor Holmes, please.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Mr. Olin,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes, thank you very
9
much for that
0
reminder. Thank you for the reminder.
We are adjourned.
We are adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Steve. Thank you.
Night, Steve. I would like to call the Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee to order at 7:33. This evening, we actually 3 guests. We have Jeremy with us from the budget director and also the special projects director. And Jeremy is on now. Jeremy, can we see your face? There you are.
I'm here. I
you-
was just being added as a panelist. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Jeremy, make the motion right now. So would you mind telling us why you are coming before us tonight?
Yeah, certainly. Thank you for your time. Thank you for this opportunity. So I wrote a memorandum to request funding for a principal clerk, which is a grade 24. I had attached a job description as well to be added to the Department of Budget and Administration. So when I started in April of 2020, we had a capital projects administrator who then put in their notice, and the position was not filled and not included in the fiscal 21 budget. And instead we added a third body to the MIS department, which was sorely needed, and I supported at the time and support now. But since May 2020, when the incumbent in capital projects left, I have been doing the duties of Director of Budget Administration and Capital Projects Administrator, which in the fiscal 20 budget as a grade 6 step 5 position was a $59,700 position a year. And the volume has become unsustainable for my department, for me to bear. So the kind of clerical and administrative work incumbent upon a capital projects administrator between change orders, invoice processing, communications, notice to proceed, supporting the municipal building commission, supporting the school building committee, that paired with the role of director of budget administration has become too much volume to have in one 35-hour work week. So it is much more than a 35-hour work week. In addition, the capital projects administrator had previously served as a backup to the purchasing assistant. So when the volume got kind of heavy in the purchasing world, or the purchasing assistant took some of her well-deserved vacation, the capital projects administrator would serve as a backup because the previous incumbent was MCPPO, Massachusetts Certified Public Purchasing Official, certified. Not having that, I now serve as the backup to the purchasing assistant. We previously also had a float clerk in the personnel department who would serve as a backup. That position was only funded at half year this year, and we're looking to see about filling it and how we view that position going forward. So there's no backup for the purchasing assistant, so I've been doing that. And even when the purchasing assistant is here, the volume of what we do as a city has increased greatly. And so the time-sensitive nature of that program, of that office, any lags in the schedule there impact treasury, impact accounting, and having an extra set of hands on those kind of 2 days a week where we're reviewing invoices, our schedule of invoices payable, would help the city function a lot smoother. So the request I have in front of you is not to add a position to an exempt classification plan. This would be within the clerical union. So it's simply a funding request. A grade 4 ranges from $37,609 to $50,973 from bottom step to top step. So my request is for $21,950, which is 7 months worth of step 1 salary exclusive of benefits. And because the question's been asked before, benefits range from nothing if they don't take them, but the cheapest individual plan costs the city $5,993 a year, and the most expensive yearly plan costs the city $26,121 a year. So those would also be prorated to essentially half if we bring someone on at the beginning of January. So those numbers all over the map. There's no way to tell when you hire somebody what level of benefits they're going to take, and it's kind of the risk inherent on us as an employer. I guess kind of my last point here to drive home what the capital projects administrator did and the excellent role that the previous incumbent played. It was a grade 6 in the exempt classification plan. The corollaries, the peers at grade 6 are things like the elections office manager, the legal secretary to the mayor, executive secretary to the mayor, assistant city clerk. These are positions which, if they went unfilled, you would not expect the resultant department head to assume the responsibilities of that position. And doing so has been a lot and has been unsustainable for me. So I'm looking for some clerical help to take over the kind of day-to-day, the mail, the sorting, the correspondence, the bill paying, the time card keeping, the kinds of stuff inherent in the position, which is important and time consuming, but would free me up to do some more systemic and kind of overarching citywide project things, which I feel I've been lacking in a bit. So I welcome your questions. Thank you for having me, and I'll turn it back to you, Chair Waterman.
So I have one question, and I'll open it up to the committee and the rest of the council. Have you been tracking your own hours? I'm curious.
No, I'm afraid of what my hourly rate would look like if I did that. So no, I haven't figured out how many hours I've actually been working. No.
But I noted that you were telling me about a meeting you were at recently, and then after the meeting, which was after hours, you had to go back to your office and perform these clerical duties, and it was a couple of hours. Do you recall that?
Yeah, so typically after, the Municipal Building Commission and the School Building Committee meet once a month on Wednesdays from 5:30 to, 6:30, 7 o'clock. And then after that, I typically go back to the office to process the bills that they have approved for payment that evening. So, those are just two nights a month, but it's, I'm at the office till 7:30, 8 o'clock regularly. And I don't want this to be a kind of a pity party on me working late hours. It's kind of incumbent on department heads that we work more than the 35 hours that are prescribed. You're going to hear that from Gary Arasian in just a few minutes. But for me, it's that if I'm going to be working those hours, I want it to be at kind of my highest and best use. And I don't think that that's what's happening right now. I think the number of hours I'm putting in are for duties that can be performed from a different position, and that I can kind of serve the city better with that time commitment on larger projects.
So I'll open this up to the committee and the council. Are there any questions? Oh, yes, Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, Council Waterman. Jeremy, thanks for coming. And I'll start off by saying I think you do a great job. And I do see you after hours at some of the meetings. I certainly don't want to lose you. Is there any way this could be done by a part-time assistant? Have you evaluated that option to make this position part-time and not full-time?
We didn't evaluate that. I think you're going to hear some of the same stuff when the assistant conservation agent comes up, is that you get a different crop of candidate when you advertise for a part-time position as opposed to a full-time position. I would look to somebody who is interested in municipal government, has bookkeeping skills, is interested in learning, the world of public procurement in Massachusetts, in municipal finance. So if the council, voted a number half of what I had put down, we would go and get a part-time person. It would be better than no person. No, I didn't evaluate a part-time person just because I think there's the need there for 35 hours a week.
And that's fair. And if I may, the risk is we overpay you for the more clerical things or underpay you for the more valuable, sophisticated, complicated work that you do, right? That's what we got to figure out. How to best use the tax dollars that are paying you, basically, is if we're overpaying you to do clerical stuff, that doesn't seem to be a good use of resources, in my opinion. So,
I agree.
yeah. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Council.
Hi. Yes, Jay, please.
Ty, I'm sorry, Jay, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I didn't see you, Laura.
Hi.
Oh, no, I think Peter's in your committee and I don't think you can see him well.
Oh, there you are, Peter.
Oh, yeah,
You're
the guy
in the
waving his
back.
hand at the back, Ty.
I'll look for you now, Peter, I promise.
Sorry, Jay, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Let's go, Peter, you're next.
Thank you. Jeremy, I usually don't do this, but I think you need some help. I honestly think if you had some help on the upper scale, if the mayor stepped in a little, it might relieve you with some responsibilities. But doing this job on your own is impossible. I believe you do need a clerk and a clerk status. I will be supporting it.
I appreciate that, Counselor.
And I hope it brings some peace to your life. You don't have to spend 80 hours a week in the city work. It's not feasible, it's not possible, it wears you out. So a clerk at that level, I can support, and I will support it.
Thank you, Counselor. I appreciate that.
And let me just add, Jeremy, we're talking for this fiscal year, $21,950. Am I correct?
Yeah, and that is
Plus
7/12 of step one salary. So that was assuming bringing someone in on December 1st, which, now that it's November 9th, that's not going to happen. So the amount actually, that's the amount that is requested for transfer, but the amount actually expended on salary, I would imagine would be lower than that. And then we're seeing some savings not based on turnover and cost savings in our benefits lines, in our insurance lines. So like I said, I don't know what this perceived person would take in benefits, but anything that we would need to shore up those accounts, we would come back in the spring. But we look to have surpluses across a number of health insurance accounts right now.
Okay. Thank you. Jay, I believe you're next.
Thank you, Council Waterman. Jeremy, thanks for this. And knowing a lot of what the previous incumbent did and the work that she put into this, I certainly see the need. I'll be supporting this. I think I appreciate the clarification of it being for 7 months of this fiscal year. Has there been further discussion? I know in the past you and I have talked about looking at ways that we can embark upon shared services, especially with some of the clerical force. Is that something that you think is a possibility as we look at potential fiscal 23 budget or even fiscal 24?
Yeah, I would love that. I think there are a number of positions in the city where we need, 1.25 FTE to do something. And perhaps maybe other positions where we need 0.9 FTE to do something. We haven't explored those specifically. I think it's a great idea. I think places like fire, medical billing, the ambulance billing, where we have really high volume. I think in purchasing here, where we have a purchasing assistant at 1.2 or 1.0, but really the volume necessitates something higher. So I haven't explored individual circumstances where that would happen, but I would be happy to, and think it's a great route the city can go.
Thanks for that. If I could just follow up with a comment, Council Waterman.
Sure.
This position, I think the next one we're going to talk about, I think they're important. And I think it's important because the city's growing. The city's growing. We want, on one hand, we just spent the last 10 months saying, hey, we want more of business downtown. We want more of this, we want more of that. Well, it doesn't happen without help and support. Ordinarily, I'm not keen on adding positions, but I think this is a position where it makes sense. I think the next one's another one that makes sense when we're talking about, and we'll get to that one, I'm sure, but even this one with the projects that we have going on, it seems every Tuesday night we're talking about a loan order for another project. We're talking about transferring money from reserve fund for transfer to this account or that account. And I think this is one that in order for these projects to get done on time, and this is where the previous incumbent Gail did such a great job of really honing in on these projects, making sure they were done on time and on budget, I think is quite important as well. But just making sure that the paperwork gets done appropriately, because that can either speed up or hold up a project, as we all know.
If I can follow up on that timing comment from Councilor Delicio.
Go ahead.
The gym floor replacement at Hyman Fine and Hill Roberts. So you amended a loan authorization to replace the roofs at Brandon and Wamsutta middle schools to include the gym floor replacement at Hyman Fine and Hill Roberts. And that project was wrapped up at the end of last summer. We did some kind of investigative work on if we needed any follow-ups over the winter, and kind of, we could have done, accounting wise, that project this past summer, in summer of 2021. And there just wasn't the time in the day for me to get that done, as well as the budget, as well as the high school, as well as the other stuff. So that project is, we moved it forward, where we've got a designer RFP that we're opening up tomorrow at 1 o'clock to have someone come design the floors and the replacement. And that project's going to happen next summer. But if we kind of had another set of hands, that project could have happened this last summer. So I know that's something that a number of councilors are interested in. And it's just a really acute example of something that, everybody wanted to happen, and there just wasn't enough work hours to get it done in time. So yeah, definitely there are things to do.
Councilor Dolan.
Thank you. I agree with Councilor Delicio on the shared services. I think that would be helpful. And, I think it was a good point as far as the city growing. If the city grows, we need to provide more services, and we need to provide good services. I think, Jeremy, you've been an asset since you've been here, and nobody expects nor wants you to work 80 hours. And I think when, you talk about missing out on projects, when we could have had that project done this summer, I think that's a big deal. And that's exactly why I would support somebody in Catherine Feerick's office, because we're missing out on opportunities because we don't have the labor to do it. And, that's not good for the city, clearly. And when it comes to benefits, no, we don't know what people are going to take for benefits. But that, to me, I've never had a job where I've gone for a job interview and they're saying, we're going to pay you, I say, I want $50,000. And they say, well, we're going to pay you 42 because we have good benefits. Like, it's what the city offers. So that's what the city offers. To take that into consideration, I know takes up money, but it's what the city offers. So to me, I think that's kind of a moot point. But like I said, we don't want to miss out on projects and important things that you could be doing instead of, clerical work. So I absolutely support this position.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Council Waterman.
Is anybody else who speak? Jeremy, thank you so much for coming in front of us, and I'll be with the committee this evening.
Thank you.
Now, we also have had in the same room with Peter, we've had Gary Razian Wiley patiently waiting to meet with us regarding increasing the hours of a part-time assistant conservation agent to full-time. Would you be able to come? You're on the screen. Hear you?
Councilor, Mr. Waterman, I'm here, sir.
A little bit of it, but I can hear. We all can.
I'm here. Nick, Conservation Agent Nick Wiley's here as well.
Thank you. So, would you like to share with us the bit of the history here on this position?
Sure, gladly. Mr. Waterman, thank you for inviting me and Nick to the community meeting, fellow councilors. Pleasure to see all of you. So I thought what we could do is, before I get into the forensics of the need for the position and the finances moving forward, what I thought I'd give is a little background on the position, and that is of the assistant conservation agent. I think it's important to note that that's already a position that exists in the city's classification plan. So it's not that we'd be creating a new position. I'm asking for a position that's already filled, that's already funded part-time, and we're looking to increase the hours from a part-time position to a full-time position. The position was created back in 2009. It's a grade 3. Since 2009 to today.
We can't hear you now.
Hear me?
No, you're good.
Yes, now we can.
Want me to start again?
No, you grade 3, and that's the last thing I remember.
So it's a grade 3. It's been part-time since 2009 to the present date. And what I'd really like to note is that the position's been funded 100% from the Conservation Commission. So we've never asked the city for any funding in that. So the Conservation Commission has 2 revenue streams, or Fund 2505 and Fund 2509. And for the last 12 years, they've always appropriated the necessary funding at the beginning of the fiscal year. So we've always paid it through the Conservation Commission. So what's precipitated the need to increase it from a part-time position to a full-time position? This isn't anything that's recent. This is a matter that Nick Wiley and I have talked about for some time now. He's also talked to the Conservation Commission. We certainly have the support of the Conservation Commission. What we've been noticing over the course more recently, certainly COVID is an anomaly, so we certainly can't really reflect on the optics of what happened during the COVID period, but just pre-COVID and more recently in the last year or so, the number of applications coming before the Conservation Commission has increased. The complexity of those applications have grown immensely. Nick's making more site visits. He's making more inspections. Those inspections are taking longer. The site visits are taking longer. Again, given the complexity of the applications coming before the Conservation Commission, the technical reports that Nick has to write, they're taking more time to prepare. The night meetings are the night meetings, as Jerry Estelle mentioned earlier, the budget director, whether it's the Conservation Commission, Planning Board, or Zoning Board, that just comes with the position. And Nick takes those on himself. And what's happening, folks, is it's just becoming to the point where he's running thin. And I will also add that in addition to what he does as the conservation agent, let's also understand that the position is also / environmental planner. And I need Nick more and more, along with the senior land use planner, to collaborate more on a lot of actual planning projects that we're working on in the city. So I don't lean on Nick that much. I recognize the workload he has. In fact, I help him every so often as much as we can. One of the requirements that I always had, or policies in my office, is that we're all cross-trained so that to increase and ensure that we have sufficient quality control, that when we do, for example, the legal ads, the agendas, I always make sure that whether the zoning board or planning board, that my planning administrator and senior planner collaborate. I offer that to Nick so that when he writes the ads and does the agendas, that nothing is beneath any of us, whether they're minutes, whatever the case is. I provide that kind of technical support to Nick. But again, the more I provide for him for clerical help and administrative help, he's doing a lot of technical work. It's taking its toll on the staff. So we've had these discussions, and what I like to do is, of course, bring Nick closer into project management, grant writing. The Conservation Commission has probably in excess of 2,000 acres of land under its stewardship. we desperately need to develop and implement a land management plan. We've been talking about that for years. We just don't have the time, folks, to really roll up our sleeves and to delve into that. As you know, in December of 2020, the municipal council approved the city's municipal vulnerability preparedness plan, the city's pre-disaster hazard mitigation plan. As a result of that, now we're on the cusp of being eligible, whether at the federal level or at the state level, for a wide range of grant applications, whether they're action grants or BRIC, which is a substantial federal grant. BRIC stands for Building Resiliency in Communities, where they offer over millions of dollars in grants for any particular project, not just millions to the Commonwealth, but literally millions to any particular project. We need to work on those together. It's really not fair to have any one person work on that alone. So I need to lean on Nick a lot more, working with those, and of course, along with the senior land use planner. A couple of other peripheral projects that I think probably go under the radar screen, but no big deal. We handle it anyway. The Schpack landfill operation and maintenance plan. That's something that the city's been overseeing for the last 5 years. I think we're supposed to have an oversight of that for another 15 years to go. And we administer on behalf of the city the OMP plan with the engineering firm of ERM. That's fallen in our laps. We've been doing that for the last 5 years, and we continue to monitor that every year. Let's not also forget NIPDES, the National Pollution Discharge and Elimination System, Part 2. That is a federal, as you know, but requirement that is not an unfunded mandate. Nick and I tag team on that. We work on that collaboratively. And let me also tell you that we rely on a lot of other departments too for helping us move the NIPDES implementation forward, whether it's the health department or the public works department, the parks and forestry department. We work well together, collaboratively together, but again, the volume of work is there. So, we can only spread ourselves so thin and yet sustain a level of quality that I keep our standards very, very high. And it's getting to the point where I see it, I'm my conservation agent. And I think the time is here that respectfully, that we increase the position from the part-time position that it is right now. And typically that runs anywhere from 12 to 14 hours. Recently it's been 14 hours to a full 35 hours. And what responsibilities would we put with the agent, with the assistant? There already is a job description. But I think as we bring the person on board and get them acclimated to the office and the processes that we have, whether they're processing applications, the public notification ads, preparing agendas, preparing for the meetings, setting up for that, taking the minutes, taking in the mail, following up on the meetings. While there is a rush of work to set up and prepare for the public hearings and orchestrate all the dynamics, as you know, that go into the public hearing process and having the public hearings, you can only imagine the workload that's precipitated as a result of those hearings that we have to put into motion the day after the meetings. So we're going to rely on the assistant conservation agent to really get acclimated on the clerical administrative responsibilities, really get their solid footing on that, get their acumen built into that. And eventually, I will tell you, once Nick and I collaborate more on these projects, there's a little relief valve for him that he could rely on the assistant conservation agent. Over time, that person is probably going to get pulled into some project development as well, too. In terms of the benefits, as I said to you earlier, the Conservation Commission has funded the position to date. We are requesting, because it is a grade 3, a step 1, that pays an annual salary of $43,142.81. The memo that Jeremy Stell and I submitted to Mayor Haru back on April 18th, I think the council also has that. In that, what we're asking to do is put in funding for 7 months. And as Jeremy mentioned earlier, given that today's date is the 9th, it's not going to be likely that we'll have anybody on board for the full month of December. But whatever the case is, whatever we don't spend, of course, gets swept back into the general account. So we're looking for approximately a $22,000 position for the balance of this month, for the balance of the year. That would amount to $12,583.32 being requested of the municipal council to appropriate those. The funding for the balance, the other half, that's already in place by the Conservation Commission. So we're not going to be looking for an appropriation this year. Those funds are already in place. In addition to that, the only other request, of course, is the benefits package. Again, I'm going to quote the same numbers Jeremy did. On the low end, if depending again on what package the candidate selects, you've got on the low end $11,228.76, and on the high end, or the highest end, I should say, is $26,846.04. I will be looking to the municipal council respectfully to pick up the benefits package and half the position, and the Conservation Commission will continue to pay the other half for the balance of this fiscal year, and then we'll re-up for fiscal year 2023. I also, Nick's here as well. We're here to answer any questions you might have. I know time is of the essence, so I have to request the Councilor Blair. I tried to keep my comments brief, but I hope I touched on more critical issues. And I'll defer back to you, Chairman Waterman, for any questions.
Thank you. Before I ask for questions, Nick, you've been patiently waiting. Is there anything you want to add, Nick?
I mean, Gary touched upon all the reasons why we're requesting the position. It's become abundantly clear over the last couple of years that the workload has increased. So it certainly does warrant upgrading from a part-time to a full-time position. Even when we just had the part-time position, having some extra hands in the office to help with a lot of those administrative and clerical works will help free up some of my time to work on some of these more larger, more complex projects. So any additional assistance that I can get is very appreciative.
I'm going to call on Jeremy. He's raising his hand.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. And I just wanted to add that we had been talking about this for quite some time as an administration on moving this from part-time to full-time. It didn't seem, right when I had started in early 2020, it didn't seem the right time to be adding positions as we were just dealing with the beginning of the COVID pandemic. And in the budget process last time, as we talked about it with Gary and his department, that we were still kind of uncertain on a state level about what we wanted to do with revenue, or what we anticipated with revenues and what we wanted to do with expenditures. So as we had seen local revenue perform well, as we had seen his NOI, his notice of intent account, the Conservation Commission account perform relatively well, and state revenue get back to its historical trajectory, if not, not making up for the dip that we saw in 21. We thought now that this has kind of leveled out and we were comfortable adding the position, that it was a good time to come and ask council for it. So this has kind of been a long lead time to get here, and we thought the timing was right financially to come ask for this right now.
Thank you. Yes, Peter, I see you. You're up.
Thank you. I thought I was the invisible man back here.
You are.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, Kate. Gary, is the Conservation Committee going to pick up part of the salary like they were picking up the part-time?
Yes, exactly. So they'll continue to pick up half the entire salary.
Half the entire
Yeah,
salary?
absolutely. Yeah.
I don't think you hit on that. I know
I'm sorry.
I know you said something about benefits, but I don't think you hit on the salary.
So let me explain.
Or at least I didn't catch it.
Sure. So let me explain again. So the entire position is $43,142.
Yeah.
We're halfway into the fiscal year anyway. So we're looking at approximately $22,000, say $200. I'm looking to the city to pick up half that amount in the benefits, and the Conservation Commission will pick up the other half.
Next year?
Yes.
Will they pick up?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, we will continue on appropriating those funds as though it was a part-time position anyway. So whether it's part-time or full-time, they're going to continue to appropriate those funds annually.
Okay, thank you. I didn't pick that up.
Okay, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear.
Before we move to the rest of the council, Sarah, if you have any questions at this time.
I do not. I think everybody's been very explanatory of the needs that they have, and I will be supporting this.
Thank you very much, Councilor Reynolds.
And the rest of the council? Yes, Councilor D. Simone.
Thank you again, Council Waterman. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I appreciate your great work and I support it, but I have a selfish question. Will this person, Gary, free you and your office up to proceed on the housing assessment so we can further explore accessory dwelling units in the city and
Absolutely,
other
Councilor.
potential changes to increase
Yes.
density that you and I keep talking about?
Absolutely.
Let's
In
go.
fact,
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be quite frank, that's something Stephanie and I are working on anyway.
Okay.
So my intent to utilize Nick's academic background and technical experience is more along climate change. For example, when we talked about the brick rate earlier, we're going to be also, I've already spoken with the mayor on appropriating funds to update the comprehensive plan, the one that we adopted in June 2012. It's about that time now with the decennial census already in place that it makes sense to move forward with this. And I think I already explained that to Council President Cooper probably about a month ago. And to that aspect, while I think the committee and the planning board that developed the comprehensive plan that we have right now touched quite a bit on environmental issues and policies. I think we've catapulted a lot more in the last 10 years, and Nick's going to be an integral part of the climate change element that we really want to amplify and promote moving forward with this update.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Council Waterman.
You're welcome. Are there other questions? Councilor Delizio, yes.
Thank you, Council Waterman. Gary, Nick, thanks for the explanation. And I was glad to hear you bring up NIPD's because that was really my question and around how much is this individual going to be working on NIPD's, because I know you have NIPD's too that came about, what, 2005? This position was created 2009. I'm assuming that wasn't coincidence. And of course, the two levels of control with NIPD's are the water quality and the technology. I bring this up because I think the technology changes. And as it does, Gary, you and I've talked about this for years, how many unfunded mandates that you deal with from the federal and the state level. So I guess just kind of clarification again, because you did a nice job answering my question before you even knew it was a question. How much of this position will be focused on the complexities and the cumbersome nature that we know NIPD's to be?
At the beginning, very little. So
Okay.
what this will do is actually free up Nick's time on a lot of administrative and clerical duties that he does. I mean, he does the minutes. He does the minutes. Up until the time we had the assistant did it, but for the last several months, Nick has been doing that. So to be quite candid, as I said earlier, Councilor Delizio, the intent of this position of going full-time is to provide Nick 35 hours of solid support of clerical and administrative assistance. And that doesn't say that Nick just lets go of it at that point. None of us let go of it, but the supervision is still there. But by freeing up or increasing, we went 14 hours, we increased that by 21 hours. That's a 35-hour full week. That then relieves Nick of a lot of other responsibilities that he can now focus on. For example, like I said, the NIPD's, the oversight of the Schpack landfill with that operation and maintenance plan, that I have a go-to person now to write grants where it's not like I do most of it, hand it off to Nick, can you just do this section and this section, where I have that level of comfort and immense respect and reliance on Nick that I go, well, I'm working on one and Stephanie's working on one, Nick, you work off on this one, and then we all come back and collaborate. So I don't really see, particularly at the beginning, Councilor Delizio, having the assistant really delve into complex matter such as NIPD's. But what it does is it relieves Nick of a lot of, when I say a lot of responsibility, it gives him the freedom and latitude now to concentrate more on the.
You muted
We're
again,
losing you.
Gary. You muted again, Gary.
Okay, I'm not sure how much of that you got. So again, the point is that would give Nick a lot more time and more latitude on working on a lot of these complicated matters such as the NIPD's.
It demarcates the responsibilities a little bit better, and it really draws that line. So I just know how cumbersome and complex NIPD's is, as well as, and you talk about Schpack too, that's another thing that, I don't think people realize
The environmental impact that that's had on the city is, I don't know.
In the
is
staff
actually-
hours, in the
I'm
staff
sorry?
hours, in the
Yeah.
staff hours that go into that as well.
So we keep a sharp eye on it. We keep a keen eye on it. We always keep the mayor updated. We work with a wonderful company. We're always keeping in touch. Nick and I review all the requirements, the reports that are sent out to EPA. We read them independently, then we come back together and meet collaboratively to make sure that, he sees what I see, vice versa. But again, it's not just 35 hours, as Jeremy mentioned earlier. We go well beyond that. And again, we're not here patting ourselves on the back. We just do what we need to do. And again, the emphasis being that with having a full-time position, that gives us the latitude so that I don't want our work to start getting diluted. I want to still maintain and sustain the quality of work that we provide. And with the wisdom of the council, I respectfully ask if you could fund it. It just keeps the quality control that much higher so that we can sustain that moving forward. There's a few things that we just don't do right now. And I don't want to get into what those are at this point, but I was very concerned. I am concerned that by taking on more work and diluting our ability and the time that's humanly possible without really degrading the quality of work, there are some things we just haven't taken on, to be quite frank with you. And one might say, will this make a difference? It sure will make a difference. If it didn't, we wouldn't be here right now. I really think it's going to make a difference.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you. Yes, Councilor Dolan.
Thank you. I won't belabor everybody's points because everybody seems to have kind of the same points, but I would support this. And again, I think the point is when you have people that do well and do good work for the city and you spread them too thin, that's when you lose good people. And we don't want to lose good people, and we don't want to spread everybody too thin, and we don't want our department heads or the people that work in that department to be unhappy and overworked and stressed. So I'll definitely be supporting this position, as I said, with Jeremy's position and Catherine Fierrick's position.
Thank you very much, Councilor Dolan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Councilor Jackson, Vice President Jackson, and President acting.
Thank you very much, Council Waterman. Hello, Gary. Hello, Nick. So, Gary, I've been dealing with your office for 14 years off and on, and being a member of the planning board. And your office is pretty squished. Yeah, you're pretty tight for space. But I see what goes on there all the time. I don't know on a day-to-day basis. I'm about to find out pretty soon in January. But I have a great appreciation for what's going on. And yes, I too will be supporting this position for your office.
Thank you very much, Councilor Jackson. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
We're getting a little garbled, but is there anybody else who would like to share anything at this point? Okay, I'm going to move forward and come out with a motion from the docket of November 16th, 2021. I'm going to do the clerk first. I would entertain a motion to appropriate $21,950 from account 1000-359000 undesignated fund balance / free cash general government to account 1133100-511000 budget and administration, salary and wages full-time, to fund a principal clerk in the Department of Budget and Administration. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion within the committee? Hearing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Vote passes 3-0. And moving to the next item. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $12,583.32 from account 1000-359-000 undesignated fund balance, free cash, general government, to account 1175-1000-511000, planning and land use, salary and wages, full-time, for funds to increase the hours of the part-time assistant conservation agent to full-time. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Vote passes 3-0. We have one more item. And I will explain that after I make the motion and get a second. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $1,200 from account 1124100-578300 citywide reserve fund for transfer to account 1543100-524230 veterans maintenance of vehicles for funds to repair a vehicle being transferred from the school department to the Veterans Department. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. This is a Toyota Prius coming from the school department potentially. It's a 2010 hybrid. I'm told it's in very good condition considering the fact of its age, 200,000 miles. The two that it needs is a battery and the windshield leaks and needs to be repaired. And Ben Quell, our veterans director, has told me that the $1,200 will take care of those two items that we need to fix. It is used primarily to to bring veterans to their appointments in Providence or West Roxbury or Brockton VA hospitals. That's the primary reason here. And it gives us a fleet of 2 cars and 1 van. And there's more and more veterans needing to go for those appointments at various times. Are there any questions?
Aye.
Please. Oh, go ahead, Peter.
You say that'll bring us to the three people. Do we have enough people to man these vans?
I am told that we have a steady group of drivers, 5 to 7 steady group of drivers, and then there's a couple dozen that'll do it on occasion. So yes,
Okay.
we're in good shape.
We always had an active group of veterans that man these. And I'm glad to see the van still working and the vehicle we got through the Elks is still on. I was wondering if by chance one of those were taken out of service, but evidently they're not.
No, the Elks vehicle, I'm not sure what it is for a vehicle, but that's still in service.
It's a wheelchair van.
Thank you. Yeah, we're going to be in good shape after we get this vehicle all set to go. That's what I've been told.
Thanks, Ty.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The vote passes 3-0. And with that, I would have a move to adjourn.
I just want to say thank you. I just want to say thank you to all the counselors tonight for your support and listening to our presentations on both of these positions. I appreciate your attention and your support for these measures. So thank you all, and have a good rest of the evening.
And thank you for meeting with us, Jeremy.
Thank you all.
And Barry, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'd like to call Public Safety Emergency Management to order at 8:20. I believe I'm up next.
Wait a minute,
Actually,
I don't think he voted.
Peter, you
I
were
don't-
not.
Oh,
I don't think Ty voted it out.
I did not vote it out yet. I had a motion to adjourn. I'm looking for a second.
You got to vote the other out.
You didn't
First.
vote, you didn't vote out the other. You talked it, it got seconded, and then you started talking and you never voted it. We know that.
So that's okay. So Ty, you need to, who seconded your
I
motion
did.
to adjourn? Withdraw it, please.
I didn't second his closure. I seconded the vote, and I believe I thought we voted on it.
I thought we voted too.
I don't think we did. I'm sorry. We did not.
No.
Can we revote, Kate?
We never voted. We're not revoting. You brought it out, Ty. It got seconded. And then you started talking about it. So we never said aye to it or nay or whatever.
Okay, all right, well, then allow me after the second to say, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The vote passes 3-0. And now I would move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
All those,
in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We adjourned, and that concludes the business of the Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee. I'll call for the next committee meeting at the next appropriate time. Thank you.
thank you very much. And excuse me, Council Blair, but
Yeah.
Council DeSimone is up next.
Thank you, Vice President Jackson. I called
Was it-
traffic.
Wasn't on a docket.
I called traffic and transportation to order at 8:22, please. Council Reynolds is present with me at this meeting. I have 7 items to bring forward, but I want to start with Gary Rajan, who is going to speak to one of the items on the docket concerning the petition for a special act concerning the laying out and accepting of certain streets in the city. So Gary, if you want to tell us why this is important to the city to approve it and move it along quickly, that would be appreciated.
Sure, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for inviting me, Councilor DeSimone and councilors. I'm really excited about this. It kind of brings back memories because I remember we did this back in, my God, I don't know, I'm going to date myself, but probably in the early 1990s under the former Mayor Robbins administration. This special legislation is much like what we do right now with the street acceptance, where we go through the municipal council when we do accept subdivision streets. Well, what this special legislation will do is there are a number of streets that have gone unaccepted and requires an immense amount of investment by the city to prepare plans and profile, engineering plans and profile plans, as well as legal descriptions of these projects. It could run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the first benefit of this legislation, should the council pass it, and goes to the legislature, should the legislature pass it, what it does is it allows the city to go through a process of street acceptance by identifying which streets it wants identified, making a list, could be 100, 200 streets, whatever they may be, without going through the expense of paying for engineered plans and profiles and legal descriptions. And again, as I said, that could run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, giving the mass of streets that are still out there that are unaccepted. The second benefit is, once we do that, is of course Chapter 90 funds. For every additional foot of streets that the municipal council accepts, every quarter or every half month, every 6 months, is something that Mike Tyler, the DPW director, and I need to follow up on, is we tally those, send them up to Boston. Once they're recognized by Mass DOT as accepted streets, our annual Chapter 90 funds increases. Those Chapter 90 funds come back to the city. I don't know exactly how much our annual allocation is right now. It's somewhere like perhaps I think 1.2 million, something in that range. By accepting additional streets, more streets, our Chapter 90 funds will increase. And then we use those funds to reinvest into sidewalks and road improvements and road repairs in the city of Attleboro. So what this will do, what this legislation will do, is really expedite the process. We've done it before. We're very good at it. I'm sure the planning board and the planning department will probably take the lead. We will work collaboratively with the Department of Public Works. Once the legislation is passed, And we will present to the municipal council, once we go through all the optics prescribed by this legislation, a nice, neat package of X amount of streets that will tell you the name of the street, where it starts from, where it ends, what the width of the right of way is, with a distance, with a complete tally. Let's say it's 200 streets with an additional 60 miles of streets to be accepted. You then hold your public hearing and just go through its logical progression. Should you take the vote to accept those streets? We would then package that. We, again, being Public Works Department, my department, package that. So that, and there are particular forms we need to fill out. We would forward that to Mass DOT, and they, of course, go through their due diligence to put that through their system. And at some point, the output comes out to be that we get additional Chapter 90 funds for the benefit of the city of Attleboro. It is a win-win. This just would expedite it. I will tell you the other process that we already have in place for subdivision streets that come online. We will continue that process through the city council in its normal course of the work. So this legislation wouldn't take into account the new streets that will be coming online through the subdivision process. This would be any streets that are already in existence that are not accepted.
Right. Thank you, Gary. Yeah. And I was reading where this is a problem around the Commonwealth with developers dying, moving for some reason, and the street never gets accepted. I know you made a couple of small changes to the petition, which I'll make when I read it in, but
Okay.
one of your concerns is about the time period. I wrote it allowing for 12-month period. Would you like us to consider changing that period?
Well, here's what I did. I took the draft language that was crafted by your committee. I take it, Council DeSimone, and I just really juxtaposed it to the legislation that was passed in, I think it was December of 1993. And what I noticed is in the 93 legislation, once then Governor Wells signed that into law, the city of Attleboro was required, as best as I can recall, to do all its due diligence by the end of April of 1994. So that gave us approximately a window of about 4 months to get it done from the time the legislation was voted, adopted, signed by the governor. The way this is written, what I read, and correct me if I'm wrong, the way I read the proposed legislation is that we would have the latitude to engage the process up to a year from the time it passes or the governor signs it. So I just didn't know what the thought process was there. I thought to keep it on a short leash and get it going. If there was some reason, and I'm sure there's a valid reason why we're talking about a year, so be it. I guess wanted to, again, bring to your attention that the last time we did it, we were successful. I think it was 293 streets. The mileage escapes me, but I think it was close to about 100 miles of roads that we were able to accomplish that within about a 4-month window. If you want to provide for a year, so be it. We certainly won't take that long, but I was just curious where that came from. That's all.
I can tell you because I referred not only to the petition that you gave that Attleboro had filed previously, but to another petition filed by a different municipality.
Sure,
and
okay.
I figured more time can't hurt. You certainly are able to get it done in less time. But
Sure.
if you would like us to change it, I'm open to change. I'm going to defer to your expertise.
I'd actually prefer to keep it on a short leash, and here's why. As you know, it's just kind of human nature that the more time you have, you might push it off because some other priority comes up, I think this is a priority. We get lots of calls from residents. My street's like this, and my street's like this. It's somewhat in disrepair of sidewalks. The mayor immediately sends an email off to Mike Tyler and me. What's the status of the road? Can we fix it? Can we use Chapter 90 funds? So he's really on top of trying to get all these roads or, imperfections, if you may, done quickly. So rather than putting it off, I'd rather keep it on a short leash if that's okay with you. It'll get us moving on it quicker, get the job done, and then we could cash in on the Chapter 90 funds that much quicker. So I would lean toward a shorter leach.
6 months, 4 months?
Yeah, I would probably go 6 months, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll make that change when I
Sure.
move it. Thank you, Gary. Council Reynolds, do you have any questions for Gary about it?
No, the only thing I was going to ask is the same thing. I thought a year was kind of long, so
Thank you.
this is fine.
Council Dolan, did you have a question?
I do. Gary, will this take the place of what you already do? Or is this just, so I understand it's like a lump sum. So will this bring us up to date and have every street accepted that's not accepted in the city right now? You're muted.
Can't tell.
I
Why does that do that?
You're all set.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't realize my speaker
They're all connected.
Oh, okay.
interfered with yours.
So the answer is no, every street won't be accepted because we will be selective and cherry pick. It depends on, we're gonna have to come up, as we did last time, a list of criteria, what the planning board and the Public Works Department is going to be looking for in terms of a street that is sufficiently of a sufficient condition that warrants acceptance. Because let's remember, the fire department, the police department, sometimes gets called into places where they may not be able to access immediately. And if we accept every single street, conceivably even some aspects of it that are paper streets, you can run into trouble like that. So we will come up with a list of criteria, of course, share with the city council to say, these are the criteria that we're going to be looking for in making a recommendation of selecting those streets that we think should be eligible for street acceptance. I won't go into detail right now, but I think the short answer to your question is no. I don't think we're going to come back and ask the municipal council to accept every single street that's not accepted at this point.
I guess may I, Councilor DeSimone?
Sure.
I guess I could have worded it better. Are we on everything that the city council has, every street that we've accepted, the city council, the previous one, so on and so forth, for the last 10 years, are all those streets, are all the paperwork done and sent to the state with our Chapter 90 fund? So are we up to date on that? That's the first question. And the second question, is that your office or DPW that submits it to the state for Chapter 90 funds?
Sure. So let me answer the first one. Probably not. We're probably a little behind. So we got to get the ones that we've accepted in the last few years, that we got to get those to Boston. And actually, Mike and I have had discussions that we got to get that out of the city. So the answer, unfortunately, is no. In terms of which department does it, I've done it for the last several times. But whether, the baton is given to Mike and he does it, it's not a very heavy lift. It's a little tedious work. So again, traditionally, my department has done it. Mike and I, like I said, have had the discussion and he says, Gary, I have no problem doing it. So one of us will do it. Typically the mayor appoints the department to do that. So the answer to your first question is no, we're not up to speed. We're probably behind a little bit, I'll admit. And in terms of who does it, it's either going to be my department or Public Works Department.
May I, Councilor DeSimone?
Yes, Councilor.
I'm sorry. Last point. So I think that's worth exploring. I know you're going to be getting help in your department, and I don't know if DPW has more capacity to do something like this. So I'm wondering, and again, I guess you said the mayor is the one that makes this decision. I wonder if it's worth looking into to keep us up to speed on what department has the capacity to do.
Absolutely, sure.
I think that would make sense. And I think that's maybe a discussion we should have. So that way we don't lag behind whomever has the capacity of the time. So I won't belabor the point, but I appreciate your answers. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? No. All right, Gary, thank you very much for the information.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Council Reynolds, I'm going to read the petition and then propose some amendments based upon comments that Gary had emailed to me before. Okay.
Okey-dokey.
All right, here we go. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the following special act regarding accepting certain ways in Attleboro. Ordered, the city of Attleboro hereby petitions the General Court of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to enact the following proposed act. An act providing for the laying out and acceptance of certain ways by the city of Attleboro. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives and General Court assembled, and by the authority of the same as follows. Section 1. Notwithstanding the provisions of any general or special law to the contrary, the city of Attleboro is hereby authorized to lay out and accept as public ways any of the ways listed in a document on file with the city clerk. The planning board for the city of Attleboro shall hold public hearings on the issue of the laying out and acceptance as public ways of those ways so listed within 12 months after the effective date of this act, at which time interested persons shall be given an opportunity to be heard. Within 21 days after a public hearing, the planning board shall submit a communication to the municipal council with its recommendation as to which ways so listed should and should not be laid out and accepted as public ways by the city of Attleboro. The communication from the planning board shall be referred to a standing committee of the municipal council or to a special committee appointed by the council president for the sole purpose of considering the proposal to lay out and accept as public ways the ways so listed. Within 45 days of the referral by the planning board, the municipal council shall hold a public hearing on the proposal. At least 14 days before any such public hearing by the municipal council, written notice of the intention of the city to lay out as public ways and the intention to hold a public hearing thereon shall be sent to the owners of land abutting or being part of the ways so listed. In addition, notice of the city's intention to lay out and accept the ways so listed shall be published in a newspaper of general circulation in the city once in each of 2 consecutive weeks, the first publication to be not less than 14 days before any public hearing. The notice shall also be posted on the bulletin board at the city clerk's office for a period of not less than 14 days before a public hearing. The standing or special committee shall report to the full council within 14 days of the public hearing with recommendations as to which ways so listed should and should not be laid out and accepted as public ways by the city of Attleboro. The municipal council may then vote to adopt, amend, or reject the proposal to lay out and accept as public ways any or all of the ways listed. Such vote by the municipal council shall be subject to the approval of the mayor as provided in section 3G of the city charter. If the mayor approves the vote, or if the municipal council, notwithstanding the mayor's disapproval, shall again adopt said proposal by a 2/3 vote of the full council, the ways contained in the final proposal shall be considered laid out and shall be accepted as public ways. Section 2, this act shall take effect upon its passage.
Second.
Thank you, Council Reynolds. I'm now going to. Yes,
Can I ask one question?
of course.
I didn't hear where the change was made, the
Oh,
6th.
I have, I'm going to propose the amendments
You're
now.
going to propose that, I see.
Yep. So there's just a couple of small ones, Council Reynolds, in the second paragraph of section 1. That starts with the planning board. I'm going to change public hearings to the singular, striking the S, so it says public hearing on the issue. It should be probably shall hold a public hearing on the issue. Would you like me to make all the changes, Council Reynolds, and then we can just vote on them as one?
I was thinking that's what you were going to do.
Yes, okay. I'm going
Yeah.
to keep going. Continuing on in that seconds, I'm going to strike 12 months and change it to 6 months, as Gary mentioned. In the following paragraph, the third, the first part of the sentence, it shall say within 21 days after the public hearing, striking the A and replacing it with the. Continuing on in that same sentence, I'm going to move to strike the language and should not. So those 3 words will be stricken. Continuing on to the next paragraph where it says at least 14 days before, I neglected to put, I need to add layout and accept. So I'm going to add and accept after layout in the second line of that sentence. And I believe those are all of the changes that Gary suggested. So can I get a motion to make those changes?
Yes, second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Council Reynolds, any other comment or discussion on the petition as it is?
No.
Okay, then we'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, Vice President Jackson. Motion passes. All right, number 2 on the docket. From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $9,430.78 from account 1124100-578300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 1420100-585082 Public Works Crosswalk Systems to purchase 1 solar-powered crosswalk system at Starkey and Kendall.
Second.
Thank you, Council Reynolds. I had asked Superintendent Tyler to come to speak about these 3 items, but he was unable to do so. They're pretty self-explanatory in the backup to the mayor's communication. This particular item, there's a field on Starkey right before the hill. Dennis Walsh indicated there's a lot of people and kids crossing in that area, and he, I guess, requested that the DPW make this purchase and install this light. So there's a lot of kids over there is the short summary. So any comments?
Always good.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice President Jackson. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Next, from the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $2,280 from account 1124100057830 citywide reserve fund for transfer to account 142010005240013 Public Works Maintenance of Traffic Lights to fund a new LED pedestrian crossing light at Pleasant Street and Perry Ave.
Second.
Thank you, Council Reynolds. I believe the gentleman last week who we spoke to about serving on the Disability Commission spoke about this light and its malfunctioning. So this is to replace that existing light so it operates as it should. Comment? Okay. Anybody else? Comments, questions, concerns? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
I think there was
Jay,
some.
excuse
Oh,
me.
excuse me.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Jay had his hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Delacio.
All right, yeah, no, just real quick, I'm glad to see these coming out. What I would like to see is potentially where I think we could use these the most are at school bus pickup and drop off. I think there's several areas in the, and it's probably isn't the right forum, but at least to get that conversation started. So the vote's already been taken, so I'll wait for another time.
Thank you, Councilor Delacio. I appreciate your comments and your concern, and I apologize for missing you.
No worries.
Next, from the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $22,450 from account 1124100057830 citywide reserve fund for transfer to account 142010000-530169 Public Works Roadway Engineering to fund engineering services related to ongoing intersection improvements at South Avenue, Snell Street, Thatcher Street, and Rathbun Willard Drive.
Second.
Thank you, Sarah. So this is really, I think this is great stuff. As Mike explained to me, in conjunction with the installation of the light at Rathbun Willard, the new light, they want to continue the sidewalks from County Street to the light and then on what is it? Not Thatcher Street, on Rathbun Willard Drive, all the way up to the elementary school there, the name of which escapes me. But basically what they want to do is not just drop the light in the existing situation, but improve the sidewalks and the crosswalks in the whole area. So it's going to be a really nice, clean, safe intersection.
Excellent.
Yeah, so this would help them figure out all that kind of stuff. Anybody else? Comments, questions, concerns? Awesome. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. All right, moving right along from the docket of November 16th, 2021. I entertain a motion to rescind the following vote. Vote number 4 of October 5, 2021, meeting regarding no parking to corner for Frank Mossberg Drive as there was no public hearing.
Second.
Thank you. This was my error. I neglected to ask for the public hearing. We're just going to fix it so that it can happen as it should. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Vice President Jackson, can you help me out on items 6 and 7? Do I move for a public hearing or call for a public hearing? For item 6, for the 2 items concerning the amendments about the commercial vehicles?
Yes, I would ask for a public hearing.
Can I do so now to you?
Yes,
or-
you may.
Okay.
Wait 1 second. Let me just read this for a second. Well, hang on.
No worries. Council Reynolds, I'm referring to the proposed amendments to Chapter 10 and Chapter 17 that we spoke about.
Yes.
Nope. I would wait till the regular meeting, and you're going to do it in your committee. Excuse me, you're going to do it, yes, next time.
Okay.
You can ask for that.
In the full council, Vice President
Yes,
Jackson?
correct. Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Council Reynolds, do you have anything else you care to talk about that's on the,
Nope.
okay.
Nope.
This traffic study meets again next Thursday, the 18th, so hopefully I'll have yet more business that we can move along at the next committee meeting. I will entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:45.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Council Blair, you may proceed.
I'd like to call Public Safety Emergency Management to order at 8:45. I have 4 motions this evening to bring forward. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $25,885 to account 1000-35900 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 12201-000-585052 fire extraction equipment.
Second.
This is pretty self-explanatory. The mayor has found his way to take some of that free cash and give the fire department some equipment that's very much needed. Any comments or questions from my committee first? From other councilors? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-0. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $36,675 from account 1000-35900 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 12201-000-585053 fire thermal imaging.
Second.
Fire thermal imaging, of course, I know all of you realize this is when they go into a burning building and they can't see because of the smoke. That imaging will help them locate a fireman in need or where the fire is. It gives them visibility that they wouldn't have with the naked eye. Any questions from my committee first? Hearing none, any comments from the rest of the council? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
People had their hand raised. Counselor Waterman and
Aye.
Counselor Jackson.
Yes.
Aye,
Go
but
ahead.
I think people had their hand raised, yeah.
All right, I didn't see him. Geez, Ty, you faded right into the background. Ty, go ahead.
You're muted, Ty.
Ty.
Sorry about that. Do we have that ability at all now to, you call third, do we have any,
Do we have any equipment? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
No.
Yeah. Can we do it at all at this point?
To be honest with you, I don't know if it's adding to equipment or establishing new equipment, Ty. I'll find out by next week.
Thank you.
And
Jack.
just as a reminder, like thermal imaging was actually created so that when firefighters went into a building and so they could see somebody that's in the building when the fire's going on. That's not just to look for firefighters also, it's to look for people that are in the building that they're responding to.
Okay.
And a lot of people need to know that, understand that, yes.
Thank you for your update on that. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $29,949.10 from account 1000-35900 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 12201-000-585010 fire new computer equipment for various computer equipment.
Second.
To be honest, thank you, Jay. To be honest with you, I don't know what particular computer equipment they're replacing, but I assume it's necessary. and the mayor is seen fit to purchase it. If any questions, I'll be more than happy in this next week before it comes before the full council to find out exactly what it is. Jay?
Yeah, Peter, if you could find out exactly what it is, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem.
You know, and I think just this goes back to business that a handful of us introduced earlier in the year for an IT feasibility study. Again, we're little pieces here, little pieces there, little pieces there. And I know the Capital Improvements Committee said that they conducted their own investigation, but it seems every single week we're buying new computers or new servers or something. And there's got to be a way that there's a cost-saving mechanism in here. So if we can find out where it is we need to replace across the city, we can probably do it in bulk and probably find a way to save a few bucks.
I will
know that's neither here nor there, but.
Okay, I will, in answer to your question, Jay, I will get in touch with the chief and see if I can get a list of the equipment where it's going. I don't know who is next. I'm going to take Diana first.
Thank you. So I do think there was a notice about that the computers you're not allowed to have virtual meetings on them. I don't know if that was from the communication that came down, but I did read a letter that came down from the mayor's office about that. So
I will get in touch with the chief, Diana, and see if I can come up with a list that Jay's asked for, which I think makes perfect sense of exactly what equipment we're asking for. Mr. Cobus.
If it's okay, I would encourage Councilor Delicio to rescind his second on this one. I do think it's important that we do our due diligence here and fully understand. I know there's a lot of free cash, a lot of money came in, and I think that shouldn't preclude us from doing our due diligence. I do think I assume this is very much needed, but let's take a step back for a second if Councilor Delicio is willing to do so.
Not at this point, because I'd like to, and it's your call, Council Blair as the chair, but I'd like to see more discussion.
Excuse me, Jay, are you going to withdraw your second, or do you want me to get the information and we go on from there?
Withdraw.
You know, so I'd like to hear, if I withdraw, that ends the conversation tonight. So I know others have their hands up. So in terms of allowing the conversation, where ultimately I will withdraw my second.
Okay.
Thank you. It does not, excuse me, Council Blair.
Yeah.
It does not cancel the conversation, because it's just a second is gone and we can still talk about it. It's just not going to go to the floor. And great. If you don't know what the computers are for, what this whole thing is, and if he hasn't explained it all to you, you know, the homework has to be done. So let's get it done and answer our questions, because yes, there's a lot of money that's being spent. Like that Christmas list just came out and everybody thinks they're going to get everything then that wish list, and it's not going to happen to everyone. We have another one coming out next week, bigger, huge one. So yes, I'd like the answers to the questions as well. Like, what are these new computers for, and what are they going to be used for? And are they actually going to be used? So I'd like those questions answered as well. Thank you, Councilor Cobus and Councilor Delicio. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, Jay, you want to withdraw that second then?
He did.
No, he didn't.
Consider it withdrawn.
Thank you. Anybody else at this time? Okay. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $55,116.47 from account 1000-359-000 undesignated funds balance free cash general government to account 12201-000-511000 fire salary and wages used in order to make an earned time payment to employee who has retired.
Second.
Okay, it's pretty self-explanatory, I believe. Evidently they used fire salaries and wages in order to pay a retired employee his time owed, time payment earned. And this is to replace the money in that account. Any questions?
Yeah, I
Yes.
have one. Thank you. So what is time owed and what is
It's like every other department.
earned time payment? And I know, but I don't know what that is. So I just want,
It's vacation time. Mostly sick time. We do it in every single department, Kate. When somebody retires, and evidently, reading this says that they use money out of the salary account to pay for this, and the mayor is asking to replace that money in their salary account. Ms. DeSimone.
Thank you, Council Blair. And I appreciate this is a contractual obligation, but I had the same question as Vice President Jackson.
yeah.
Because this person had an earned time payment of 120,000,
Yeah.
which they couldn't cover. And again, I get it, it's in the contract. But I know at the state several years ago, they capped out how much earned sick time and vacation time that you can cash out with. And Jay, I know you work for the state as well. I don't know, but anyway, in my sector, they capped out how much sick time someone can carry. That seems like a lot of, and I don't begrudge the man, he worked it, but going forward, that's a lot to be able to carry and cash out, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes my comments.
Jay.
Yeah, what I will say to that, Council DeSimone, is, yeah, they put that cap in.
Yeah.
But in order for this individual to have accrued what he's accrued or what they've accrued, it was before the cap, and the cap was just that going forward for people hired after a certain date.
Right.
This is contractual. This is something we have to pay, and this individual is certainly earned that.
If he's got that much coming, he certainly must have put an awful lot of time in.
And probably didn't bang out sick a lot.
Yeah, didn't bang out sick a lot. I like that comment, Jay. Any other questions? All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. I have no other business this evening other than an FYI. You'll be receiving, I'm going to have a committee meeting next week so that we can vote out that gunshot detection. It's necessary to get it passed. The police chief is coming in to meet with us at 6:30 to go over it and explain any questions and if the council might have. And hopefully it's, I think it's a no-brainer, but we got to stay up with the new high school and their schedule so we get it installed on time, don't cause any delays. One of the reasons, and I think it's important, and pick up the newspaper every day, there's a mass shooting somewhere. We don't want it to happen in Attleboro, and we not do our due diligence to have that system installed. And I was glad to see the funding come down using marijuana money for that. So I'll have that meeting at 6:30. You should be getting a notice. Virginia is posting it. And we can ask the chief any questions next week that you might have. Yes, Ms. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. You may want to check with President Cooper this week at some point, because he and I were having discussion. Since you've already voted it out of committee without having the chief come before you, it is no longer in your committee. It's kind of floating up in the air right now. It's not, it's before the council. So you can't have him come into your committee since it's not in your committee anymore, because you voted it out. You went above and beyond your unusual way. And so please speak with him this week. Thank you.
If I can get a hold of him, I'll speak with him, because I had already asked the chief to come in. And the reason I voted it out ahead of time was, I wasn't sure when we could get them in, and I was trying to make it convenient for them. And I don't see where it makes a difference, but I will,
Well, legalities makes a difference, and I'm not sure how that all plays out, but there's a question, so just please speak to President Cooper. That's all I'm asking.
okay, but in the meantime, be aware of the email you get. I intend to have that chief in if legally possible next week at 6:30. Okay. I have no other business this evening. I'll look for an adjournment at 9 o'clock.
Second.
The Capital Improvements and City Development Committee has no business.
Point of order. We haven't voted on the adjournment yet.
Sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now the Capital Improvements and City Development Committee has no other business this evening. We'll meet at next appropriate time.
And zoning and land use is canceled for tonight.
I'd like to call the Public Works Committee to order at 9:02, a lot earlier than I expected. From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to rescind vote number 27 of July 22nd, 2021, a vote to approve the replacement of Conley Basketball Court.
Second.
Thank you. So I have two other motions that go along with this, and I'm sure you've all read the reason why. Our Dennis Walsh has gone out to bid, and he's found out that bidding together made it a little bit less expensive. So we're going to rescind our bids that we did in July and then just put one bid together. And we want to get this done now because he does not see the prices going lower. He just sees them rising. So that's why we're doing this for these basketball courts. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to rescind vote number 29 of July 22nd, 2021, a vote to replace Ponce and Hewitt Basketball Court.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. Any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. From the docket, motion passes. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $73,185 from account 1124100-578380 Citywide Reserve Fund for Capital to account 1630-1000-584029 Recreation Outdoor Facility Improvements to replace the two affordable basketball courts. A 5% contingency is being added.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. Yes. So this will be a little bit less expensive than what we had originally planned. I thank Dennis Walsh for looking into this and getting this done quickly and appropriately. I mean, he's always on top of his game. We're very, very fortunate to have him. Any comments or questions?
Agree.
Agreed.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $26.63 account 1124-1000-578300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account 1650-1000-578020 Park bills from previous years to pay in fiscal year 21 Lowe's invoice.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. Obviously, it's an old bill from Lowe's, $26.63. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So the next two motions on my meeting, as you can all see, they have to do with the water and the wastewater trucks. And I've asked Courtney to attend our meeting, and I asked Tom Hayes to attend our meeting on the 23rd to discuss this, because actually in the memo from the mayor's office and also in our motion, it says that the transit van is to be shared by the water and wastewater department, and the super cab is to be shared by the water and wastewater department. However, there's a little bit discrepancy, because I spoke with wastewater superintendent Tom, and they never use these vans or trucks. It's not that I'm saying they don't need them, because some of us have been down there. Like 1 year ago, we went down, we saw all the trucks, and yes, we saw they're a mess, and they've been on the capital improvement plans. But I've just asked her to come just to explain what the usage is and why they split the differences. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to hold those off for a couple more weeks, and she has agreed to come. Lastly, from the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to appropriate $236,604.51 from account 6100-359-000 Water Enterprise Fund retained earnings to account 6100-553-150 Water Enterprise Fund water meters to continue the ongoing meter replacement program for fiscal year 2022.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. We've been doing this for years, getting close to completion. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you ever so kindly. From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to transfer $19,227 from account 6100-578300 Water Enterprise Fund Reserve Fund for transfer to account 6100-584061 Water Enterprise Fund Industrial Sludge Meter to replace the sewer meter at the West Street plant.
Second.
Thank you ever so kindly, Councilor Dolan. So this is failed, or it's failing, and it desperately needs to be replaced. She's got I'm sure you've all read the backup material, but it does need to be replaced. Any questions or comments? I like talking about sludge. Yes, please, Councilor Delicio.
Thank you, Acting President Jackson. Question I have is that something that you think can be paid by opera? I just didn't know if that's something that would fall under that.
She never mentioned it. I'm not sure. Would you like me to hold off until she comes in 2 weeks?
No, I think
Or I
if
can.
you shoot an email to Jeremy, he might be able to tell you better.
Okay.
But she may not even know that, just given, again, it's so many pages of guidance. But if you wouldn't mind, I'd appreciate that.
I'd be more than happy to ask. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. That concludes the business this evening for Public Works. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, and I would ask for an adjournment.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. We are adjourned at 9:09.
Aye.
All those in favor? Yes, thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, aye. Thank you. We are adjourned at 9:09.
Thank you. I'd like to call License Committee to order at 9:09. If anybody has any questions, just let me know. I really don't have any comments. I have several. I know it's late. I have several that I need to get through tonight. So if I'm not looking up, just give me a holler if you have any questions. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve an automatic amusement device license for the Portuguese American Club at 65 Prairie Avenue for a pool table and a jukebox.
Second.
Anyone have any questions?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve an automatic amusement device license for a market basket at 1200 Newport Ave for 2 merry-go-round rides.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve a class 3 license for Greco's Auto at 83 Dickens Street with 10 customer, I just lost my 10 customer and 31 display spaces.
Second.
Any questions? All
No.
those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve a class 2 license for Greco's Auto at 83 Dickens Street with 10 customer parking spaces and 31 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? All those in
No.
favor?
Aye.
From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve a class 1 license for courtesy Kia Mitsubishi at 11 and 16 Scott Street with 34 customer spaces and 172 display spaces.
Second.
Any questions?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me. From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve a class 3 license for Tri-Town Auto at 1850 County Street with 4 customer spaces and 6 display spaces.
Second.
Any questions? All
No.
those in favor?
Aye.
From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve a class 2 license for Paris Auto Body at 21 Chartier Street with 9 customer parking spaces and 20 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve a class 2 license for Gas Plus at 80 Pleasant Street with 10 customer parking spaces and 24 display spaces.
Second.
So I do have a comment on this one. They are in compliance, but they have some zoning issues over there that I talked to Bill McDonough about. That he's going to handle, but he felt that I didn't need to hold up their class 2 license for these issues. So I just want to make note of that. All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Motion passes. You're welcome. From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve a class 2 license for Lean's Auto Repair Inc. at 141 Pine Street with 7 customer parking spaces and 29 display spaces.
Second.
Anybody have any questions?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve a class 2 license for Lime Rock Motors LLC at 722 Washington Street with 4 customer spaces and 48 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve a class 2 license for J Motor Group at 1856 County Street with 4 customer parking spaces and 20 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the class 2 license for Better Auto at 473 Washington Street with 10 customer parking spaces and 4 display spaces.
Second.
Just a note on this one, they all have some zoning issues over there, so same as the last one. Bill McDonough is going to take care of that.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve a class 2 license for Tri-Town Auto Sales at 1850 County Street with 4 customer displays and 6 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve a class 2 license for East Coast Auto Sales, Inc. at 24 Rice Street with 14 customer spaces and 40 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the class 2 license for Classic Auto Sales at 11 Oak Hill Avenue with 5 customer spaces and 23 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the class 2 license for North Main Street Auto at 44 North Main Street, excuse me, with 17 customer parking spaces and 1 display space.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. I entertain from the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve a Class 2 license for County Auto Sales and Service, Inc., 42 County Street, with 10 customer spaces and 28 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
From the docket of November 16, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve a Class 2 license for GMAC at 30 Main Street with 4 customer spaces and 24 display spaces.
23.
23.
Oh, 23. Thank you.
You're welcome. Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. From the docket of November 2nd. Oh, I had left this off because I needed to contact them because they weren't in compliance. So that's why it's November 2nd.
Mhm.
I entertain a motion to approve a Class 2 license renewal for Blue and White Motors, Inc. at 1815 County Street with, oh, why don't I have them? Sorry. There's no number of customer parking spaces. Sorry, let me just grab my paperwork.
No worries. Take your time. Docket, November 2nd. Look it up.
So that's blue and white.
Yep.
Oh, come on.
Breathe.
Oh, all right, hold on. So this is for. All right, let me start over. I entertain a motion to approve a Class 2 license renewal for Blue and White Motors, Inc. at 1815 County Street with 4 customer parking spaces and 15 display spaces.
Second.
Thank you.
You got this.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Aye, motion passes. That's it. So I would like to call for an adjournment at 9:18, please.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 9:18. Thank you.
Moving right along to city property.
I would like to call the City Property and Claims Committee to order at 9:18. And I have 4 motions on the docket this evening. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to accept this generous donation of a Dell Chromebook with an estimated value of $350 from Sean and Samantha Collette, owners of East Coast Auto Sound, to Hill Roberts Elementary School.
Second.
Thank you. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Anybody have any questions, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to accept the donation to the Council of Aging of a new HP laptop computer, carrying case and wireless mouse from Mr. Louis Tremblay with an estimated value of $500.
Second.
Thank you. Again, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Any questions, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to accept the donation of costs and services from the Department of Housing and Community Development's Massachusetts Downtown Initiative for the Local Rapid Recovery Plan Program to aid local businesses with effects from COVID.
Second.
Thank you. Again, pretty self-explanatory. All those in favor? Any questions, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes. From the docket of November 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to declare the following as surplus and available for disposition. I have a 2003 Ford F-350 dump, VIN number 1 FDW F37 P13 EC 65266. It has 99,837 miles plus. It's in very poor condition. And a 2004 Ford Expedition, VIN number 1FM PU1 6LX4LA88436. It has 133,460 miles, and it's also in very poor condition.
Second.
Thank you. Again, self-explanatory. Any questions or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes. And that is all the business I have this evening. I would like to call for an adjournment at 9:21.
Second.
Thank you. We are adjourned at 9:21 p.m.
Thank you. I'd like to call Ordinance Election Legislative Matters Committee to order at 9:21. I have one motion this evening. So members are myself, Councilor DeSimone, and Acting President Jackson. From the docket of November 2nd, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the decennial precinting, it's a tongue twister, as presented by the Board of Election Commissioners.
Second.
Thank you. So I hope that AACS can help me with the map. I wanted to go over something with the council here. So this is the map that we're looking to have approved, and I want to highlight Ward 3A and 3B. Does everybody see how? Yes. So the areas, the state has already approved the map as the colors, but we as a city will be doing the darker black lines here. And so the challenge is that, as you could see, 3A is going to have 2 different state reps. So that means that Merritt Place, part of North Main Street, part of Dean Street, all of Dean Street, Walter Street, Charles Street, Florence Street, Peck Street, and St. John's Place will be going toward, will be getting a ballot for, they will still have the state rep, which is the 14th Bristol. The rest of the city has the 2nd Bristol state rep. So this is the best that the elections office could do. They did this in collaboration with the state because each precinct cannot have more than 4,000 people, and there can't be a more than 5% deviation between each precinct. So, Councilor Kovas?
And so let me understand this correctly. In 3A, they will have 2 different representatives. And I do have a pretty big issue with this because everybody knows, or most people know, what precinct they're part of, and if the state reps align with that, it's a lot easier. I think this will just get confusing, and I'm not a fan of it at all. But my question to you is there anything we can do about it at this point? And how long before this comes up again?
So this is once every 10 years this happens. And the governor already approved the other mapping for the state elections. So this wouldn't come and be the city elections would not be affected by this, but it's more the state. And it does, because Ward 3B has grown so much, it cannot have over 4,000 residents there. There's really not a lot that could happen unless they had went into 4A. So in other words, they tried to keep it within 3, but it needs to be, it cannot exceed 4,000 residents. So that's right. But Acting President Jackson.
Thank you, Councilor Holmes. So forever, I've always known, like, there's a certain part of 3A, or maybe at one point it was actually called 3B, that Representative Poirier or Poiriers represented in Attleboro. It's just like always been divided this way. This is just not unusual for them. It's a smaller part now in Attleboro, because I know it used to be like where North Ave went up, and that used to be Representative represented by one of the representatives, Warriors. So this is nothing unusual to us. I know that the state has already approved it as far as representatives and the Senate. They all know already, they have the new areas, they're all excited. Even the governor's council has like their new areas, it's already been approved. It kind of stinks because it's such a small area of Attleboro and they have, I don't know, but and at the same sense, it's kind of like, okay, so our state representative doesn't just represent just all of Attleboro, you know, a little part of it goes to someone else. So yeah, I'm all in favor of it. It's done. What's done is done already at another level. There's nothing really we can do at this point in time.
So I think I agree. So I think I would like to get it out of committee. And then the one thing that I'll probably try to get clarification on is how we notify residents, because as you can see in the map, oh, they just took it down, but there's even part of 4 that gets like Augsburg Drive and those areas become part of 4A. They used to be part of 4B.
Correct.
So I just want to know how we notify residents of this change once it's approved, and I can certainly get those questions answered. And I wanted, if anybody has any questions that they want me to get clarification on before it goes to full council, I can certainly do that. We have to make a decision before December 15th, though.
Mm-hmm. Understood. Thank you.
So I, again, just reach out if you need to, but I hope that offers some clarification. Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call. Oh, sorry.
Sarah is up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Reynolds, I couldn't see.
So do I have myself on? Yeah, so I'm just going to suggest that I'm right in line with Councilor Colbus. I think it's a mess. I don't know why they approved it and then we have to redo it and approve it here in the city level. I think it is going to confuse people. I have people calling me all the time for 3A and 3B. Where am I supposed to vote? Oh, well, I used to have to go here to go there. So I think it's just more confusing, and the fact that they take this little teeny section and somehow, you know, throw it into 3A when it's always been in 3B. And now they're taking a section of 4B and throwing it into 4A, you know, just as several streets. I understand the 4,000 thing, but maybe that's what should be changed, is that should be increased to a level that we could have kept 3A and 3A and 3B and 3B instead of cutting out these little sections that do not match up with the state. I mean, it's just ridiculous, but that's my only, I know Kate's probably right and you're right that we can't do anything about it, but I think we should make a big scream and yell about it because I think it's just the most foolish way to fix this, quite frankly. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Councilor Colbus?
I very much echo everything Councilor Reynolds just said. The issue, I've always recognized that 3B or the northern part of the city there is part of that other district that Rep. Poirier owns, and 3A is part of, is represented by Representative Hawkins. That isn't my concern. I'm okay with it as long as it's an entire precinct. My issue is then shaving off a little part here, and that's the thing that I think we need to make a big stink about and try to prevent from happening in the future. And I get that this has probably already been decided and there's not much we can do now, but I do agree with Councilor Reynolds that we should make a stink about this.
Thank you.
Councilor Holmes?
Councilor Delcio?
Thank you. For next week, can you just find out what would happen if we didn't do anything by December 15th? What's the ramifications at that point? Because I think, you know, the bigger question and concern I have is, well, it falls in line with what Councilor Colbus and Councilor Reynolds were saying. If I'm understanding, you're going to have one ward rather is going to have 2 reps. You know, I think it's just a disaster waiting to happen. I think there's enough, or precinct rather than ward, but I think there's enough concern on a national level right now around voting and the integrity of the voting that I think any sort of ambiguity that we add to it, I just want to know what the ramifications are.
I agree. And even when we were, when Council Reynolds was talking about poll locations, I'm just thinking about, since I've been in the council, how many different locations have changed. I know some of it was due to the pandemic, but it is kind of, we want to encourage voting, not confuse people about where you're going. So I think having some sort of system in place. So I certainly will look into that and I will let you know.
Thank you.
Any other? So is my committee comfortable voting it out, or would you like me to keep it in and get those questions answered? We can vote it out and I can certainly report back. It's.
No, you can't.
I would find voting it out. I just, yeah, you just get the answers by next Tuesday. That's my opinion.
I agree.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes. I am not going to read any other motions this evening, but we did get an email response from Gary and Nick. I just wanted to make sure everybody was able to see that, and I'm hoping
Yes.
to bring that out in the next meeting. I think that will conclude the business this evening, and I'll call for adjourn. Acting President Jackson.
Thank you very much. Council Holmes, so next Tuesday, I just want to clarify. So we're going to discuss everything next Tuesday night about the wetlands ordinance and you discuss all the changes and the amendments and everything that you had just received, correct?
Is next week full council or committee?
Committee.
Oh,
Excuse me,
no,
full council. But do you want to have a committee meeting before, or do you want to wait till your committee meeting?
I was probably going to just wait until the 23rd.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to know. Thank you. That's good.
I think that I'm going to do that. And that will conclude the business this evening. I'll call for an adjournment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned at 9:33. Thank you.
And you know what that means? We're adjourned.
Ooh.
See you later, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everyone.
Again, congratulations.
You too, Kate.
Thank you ever so kindly.